Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking, right side. He wants it. A comeback. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown, Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions. How about those Chiefs?
Welcome to another episode of the Kingdom Corner here with Dale and Andrew. We got the Jaguars coming up. The Chiefs have already played them 3 times in the last calendar year. First time this year, they played them in the playoffs last year. The game, as we might remember, that Mahomes got his ankle hurt in. But, and now the Chiefs coming off a Week 1 loss to the Lions. So, Dale, what are we thinking going into this game?
Oh, man, we get right game, right? I mean, I know the Jaguars have been one of those teams that kind of been, you kind of just marked it down as a win on your schedule. But now, I don't know so much. But I think it's the boys. I think it'll be. I kind of thought this game was going to be a trap game to begin with, but now that they lost, they're kind of the players are going to be more alert, ready to go. Ready to play and not going to be caught off guard as much or let their guard down. Yeah,
I'm not so sure you even count a trap game if it's a playoff team from last year, though, right?
Right. Well, I mean, we beat them twice last year. We're playing them again this year. We got their number, kind of that.
I mean, even Chad Henne beat him, right? So
anything's possible.
That's right. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
So last week, the Jaguars faced off against the Colts, and they beat them by a score of 31-21. So high-scoring game for the Jags. They let the Colts hang in there. Here's a few stats from their game that really stuck out to me. So, first off, the Jaguars' defense, as we know, especially that defensive line, it is no joke, especially with the defensive player there, Josh Allen. That guy, went on a tear. He got 3 sacks himself last week. And they got 4 sacks in total, 6 quarterback hits, and 6 tackles for loss.
Wow.
So that defense is for real. That's for sure.
Yeah, our offensive line will be tested for sure this year or this week in a couple days here. Red Friday. In a couple of days, they'll be tested and how they're going to handle that. But I know Andy Reid and the boys will be humming. They'll be ready to go.
Yeah, and keep in mind, our new right tackle came from the Jaguars. Juwan Taylor, right? And there's even been a lot of talk in the last game and the week since about him possibly false starting or moving early. And and he commented and basically just said, "Hey, if it might look like it in real time if you slow it down. I'm moving right when the ball snapped and just getting a good jump or whatever." And so, I wonder how he's thinking going into this game. I'm not going to say it's a revenge game. I don't think he left on a sour note or anything like that. But
no,
when you go to a new team and you're wanting to win the Super Bowl, you do want to win those games.
Yes, you do. You got to win these games, especially playoff teams. I know last year we lost to the Bills and Cincinnati, both in regular season, but we ended up winning the Super Bowl. But, it's just kind of like measuring where you're at, these playoff teams. So where are we at against the Jaguars, even though they about blew. I mean, they almost got blown out in their playoff game, but came back and beat the Chargers.
Yeah.
I think Lawrence had like 4 picks in that game, which is unreal to think about. So just maybe some jitters there in the early, but he figured it out there in the second half and brought his team all the way back. So,
yeah. And here's some other things from that game against the Colts for the Jaguars last week.
Okay.
So the Jaguars, they were only 3 for 12 on third down, so about 25%. And they went for fourth down, or went for it on fourth down 3 times, only converted to one of those. Twice it was about midfield. And then once they went forward in the red zone and converted there, but when they got to the red zone, they were on it. They were 3 for 3 in the red zone. But the flip side of that, they had 4 3-and-outs in that game against the Colts.
Wow,
which is much higher than I would have anticipated. So 4 3-and-outs is big. They also gave up a defensive touchdown similar to the Chiefs, except they fumbled it and the Colts picked it up and returned it for a touchdown. So. Similarities there between the teams could be first week things, but either way, a lot to improve on, even with the Jaguars too. And so, the Jaguars are seen as one of the better teams in the NFL right now. And so for the Chiefs, I'm feeling pretty good about it, seeing some of those things from their game.
Yeah. Which I would, I kind of noticed watching football this weekend has been that it seems like a lot of people are a lot of coaches are going for it on fourth down a lot more. Even we went, I think, twice for it on fourth down. I know one of them was like a crucial time we had to go for it or we were going to lose. We ended up losing. It just seems like people are being a lot more aggressive.
Yeah. And on that 4th and 25 that we went for, we had a chance to complete it, as we discussed in our previous episode. You can check that one out if you haven't. Man, Mahomes put it where his guy could get it, and he didn't catch it. So, but even on 4th down, speaking of going for it, right? The Colts went for it 5 times in their game on 4th down. Only converted one of those, but went for it 5 different times.
Yeah.
And they also had 3 turnovers in the game. So, when you're 1 for 5 on 4th down and create 3 turnovers and only lose by 10 points, no win is good, or no loss is good, but that's pretty good to only lose by 10, given it. I mean, we've talked about this before. If you turn it over on downs going for on 4th down, it's almost like a turnover.
Yeah.
And so
that game tied going into the 4th, or I know it was like close early. And then I think the Jags kind of just pulled away there at the end. But if I remember right, I watched the YouTube highlights of the game just because we were playing the Jags. And Calvin Ridley, he's going to be a problem, bud.
Yeah, yes, he is.
He's going to be a problem.
No doubt about that. So going into the 4th quarter in that game, the score was 17-21, and the Colts were ahead.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought the Colts were leading that game, and so to win by 10, to pull it off. I mean, that's kudos to the Jags and not giving up and just believing. I think that's the Jags are for real.
Yeah, and
with as long as Trevor Lawrence stays healthy, and we hope that he does, but I think he's for real.
Yeah, and even speaking of them coming back and such, you even mentioned the playoff game last year against the Chargers where they came back. And so that just kind of goes to prove once again that you can't count these guys out. No matter what the score is, they're going to feel like they're in it. Yeah. So it's similar to Mahomes, right? Where Mahomes is in that place. He feels like he's always got a chance. And so we got to keep that in mind as we play against them this week, that no matter what the score is, they might still think they can win.
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs fans are. I mean, I'm so delusional. Even when we didn't convert the 4th and 25, when we gave them the ball back, and I was like, "Oh, we can still get a stop, and Mahomes will march us right down the field and we'll win." I mean, that's how and then the Lions got a first down, and that kind of sealed it. But just the fact that I wasn't like, "Oh, we can still win this thing." I mean, I think that's how a lot of Chiefs fans feel. But I think that's how the Jaguar fans, I'm sure, are starting to feel, even though it's a smaller body of work for Trevor Lawrence. Let's not put Trevor Lawrence and Mahomes in the same category, but it's a smaller body of work so far. But yes, he has shown the capabilities of not shrinking in big moments.
Yeah. And it's hard to really know much about a team going into even the second week. I know we kind of said that last week too, but we don't really know what these teams are at this point. We don't know who the real people are, or as has been called before, the fool's gold.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so here we are going to Jacksonville this Sunday. Chiefs are trying to bounce back. But the big news, Chris Jones is back on the team. He signed his contract.
Yeah.
It wasn't an extension, but just restructured what he already had to earn some more money through incentives. So lots of things going on with that, but how realistic do you think it is that Chris Jones plays the entire game, or how much do you think he will?
Yeah, I'm thinking somewhere around 25 to 30 snaps. Chris Jones is realistic. Maybe even 20 to 25. Just to, you don't want to. I think the big thing about for him, I'm worried about is this injury. Tweaking something, just not using those muscles, I know he's working out supposedly. We have not had that confirmed or not, but football shape and being in shape are 2 different things. So using some of those muscles, explosion off the line and things like that, is he going to be a little slower until like a couple of weeks? But I know he was practicing. Even practice during the season is not like a big thing, because they're trying to keep the boys healthy as much as possible. So I think he'll make a difference, maybe 2 plays. He'll get a sack and maybe help stop the run. But I think I will still depend on a lot of the guys that played in his absence against the Lions, which I thought they did a great job.
Yeah. And as we talked before, they only gave up 14 points as a defense without Chris Jones. So I think the Chiefs defense, going out on a limb here, but it might be the best defense Mahomes has ever had.
Oh, yeah. And what have we said? We've been banging the drum since Mahomes has been there. Let's give him a top 10 defense and see what he does. And so if we can get a top 10 defense in the league, watch out, because that just helps a ton. It's it almost changes the mindset. Like, I think there early on, Mahomes was like, hey, I got to go and score every play. Yeah. And now it's like, oh, okay, we can come back. Our defense will get a stop. Our defense will keep us in it.
Yeah. So with that being said, though, too, I agree. If we have a great defense to rely on, and Mahomes does, man, that makes a huge difference. But how much difference, in 1 week even, do you think those receivers can be for the Chiefs, to catch some of those balls that were drops?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I hope it's right, but I think it was called The Underdog Show. It was on YouTube. I found it. It just Google knew I needed to watch this video, and it showed up in my suggestions.
Google knows you too well.
And then I don't know who the host was, but the guy, Steve Smith Jr., was talking, and they were talking about the wide receivers and what was going on. And Steve Smith, just to break it down real quick, was the fact that it looked like the wide receivers were off on their timing quite a bit. And so with Andy Reid's, and this is getting in the weeds, I know, and some people are checking out, but it was like the timing routes are so important. So if you're not there when it was supposed to be there, then it just throws everything off. And they highlighted a bunch of plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. So if you're a Chiefs fan, you're like, hey, looking for explanation, go find Steve Smith Jr. Podcast on the Kansas City Chiefs. It was fantastic. And so, but it was just all that time. So it's things that we could fix, hopefully, because we know Sky Moore can catch balls. We've seen him do it in the Super Bowl. We know that Tony can catch balls. We've seen him do it in the Super Bowl. We saw him make he had a coming out party against the Jaguars, we remember right last year. So
and he had a couple really difficult catches too. So he can make the big ones.
I'm not on the panic wagon yet. I know everyone was talking this week about, hey, the Chiefs need a trade. The Chiefs need to go get a veteran wide receiver. But obviously we're not opposed to making, I think Brett Veach would be like, we're not opposed to making our team better, but I don't think we need to hit the panic button and be like, we need it right now or we're going to lose every game. I would love it like a Juju, type figure that would just sure hands, finds the space, smart guy. Yeah. I would love that, but I like our guys too. So I know I was hard on him. I know I was hard on him last time, but I like him. I've come down. That was emotional. We did that the day after. We did that the day after.
Less than 24 hours. So, you got to give us a little bit of grace there with some of those. But hey, I stand by what I said. They still got to catch the ball.
Yeah. So. Oh, yeah. And I know I was trying to make excuses for them. You weren't having it. I mean, it was just. Yeah,
it was good. So. But what are our realistic expectations? What do we expect out of the Chiefs going into this Jaguars game? Like, what are the matchups and such to watch?
Yeah, Travis Kelce, we got to watch him, see how he's feeling. I think he's going to play. He practiced limited, but he still practiced. So he's a warrior. He's going to get out there. He's going to try. So to see his matchups, and I think the matchups of the wide receivers, in particular, Sky Moore and Tony, like how are they going to bounce back? And so I think they're going to get right. Andy Reid's going to help them. Pat's going to help them. And I think they'll come out and redeem themselves. So those things. And then obviously watching Chris Jones, how he performs, and then how that defense performs without Chris Jones, I think will be interesting too. Will be interesting. And we got to get our running backs going. My goodness.
Yes.
Pat Mahomes cannot lead.
Absolutely.
Pat cannot lead the team in rushing. That's just can't happen.
No. And you don't want to, and he doesn't want to either.
No.
And so that's the big thing that I have for the Chiefs is two big things, and it's for not just this game, for the entire one. Yeah, you got to start getting your run game going. The Clyde experiment, we tried it. Very thankful for him. Glad he was able to help us with some things, but man, get Pacheco that ball and jump on that train. Right?
Yeah. Now, do you count runs as like McKinnon coming out of the backfield like real quick? Do you
Like
count that as a run?
like short
Yeah, like a
passes?
short pass.
It's just as effective. So
Yeah, just as I think we need to do more of that. One thing I know, I went back and watched the game film. I feel like such a nerd.
You are, but that's okay. We still love you.
We did not do. When we had McCole Hardman, we still did not have. We didn't do a lot of those jet sweeps, like even fakes.
Yeah, well, I
That
think
motion,
they did those so much with Tyreek Hill, and even thereafter, that I think people started catching on to those too, though. Because that everybody was ready for that because they did it so often before. And I'm not saying they shouldn't throw it in there every once in a while. But,
no. Yeah.
But yeah. And even last game, I think we mentioned it. They didn't purposefully target or call any plays for McKinnon one time.
Yeah.
Two passes that were thrown his way were on scramble passes. And so, yeah, to your point, I agree. They got to get McKinnon more involved. That guy is electric with the ball in his hand.
Yeah. Just get him in space. Like let him make plays. They can't guard everybody, right? They can try, but they can't guard everyone. So
so they got to get their run game going. And the second thing I would add to that is their short yardage plays, right? They got to do something because for the last couple years they have been atrocious on short yardage plays. If they just need a yard or two, I mean, there's no guarantee they're going to convert that. Now, if they got to get 10, they'll probably get it. They got to get 15, probably. I feel more confident about them trying to get 8 or 9 yards than I do 1 or 2 yards at this point.
And it's funny because when the field shrinks, so like short yardage is even in the red zone when the field like the 5 or 8 yard line. I feel like it's harder for them to get in.
Yeah, well, it's harder for every team because the defense has a shorter area and a smaller area they have to cover.
Yeah,
and so, but I'm saying even on short yards, if they're on their own 20-yard line and it's 3rd and 1, I'm not sure they're going to get it.
Can we stop the Blake Bell behind the line? I mean, let's just stop. I don't know. He's not getting it.
No. Oh, and I think we mentioned that in the last episode. But yeah, if you're going to do something like that, take Mahomes off the field.
Right.
I mean, you're trying to use him as a decoy, but nobody's falling for it. Unless you're actually going to use him in some way at some point, he's not a decoy.
Right. Well, I tell you what,
we know what they're doing. They're getting him out of the way so he doesn't get hurt. And
so which is smart. Yeah. Which is smart.
Yeah. So,
I
just
get another tight end in there or get another lineman in there to push the pile. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm okay if Blake Bell is in there and all they're doing is pushing the pile, but don't.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we won't beat that too much, but
they
need to, for sure, figure out their short yardage things. I'm okay with Blake Bell though, being in there. I am. I'm okay with him handling the ball. But to that point, even if he's in there handling the ball, they got to call something that's actually going to work.
Yeah, that little like handoff sweep thing did not work. They lost yards, So
and part of that was they blew through the offensive line and they didn't really have a chance. But man, on those short yarders, your guys have got to step up and do something.
Oh yeah,
and I know the defense feels the same way. These are professionals. The guys on both sides of the ball are being paid. So but even so, I'm speaking as a fan here, but you want to see them try to convert some of those things. Much
we got to
convert them. They have been.
Yeah.
So those are my big things. Looking forward to this game and future games as well. The other thing I want to see is I want to see the Chiefs defense continue what they did against the Lions. Right? We know the Lions are a much improved team from the past years. Last year they had one of the best offenses in the league, as we discussed before. And so I want to see, are the Lions still that team? Are the Chiefs as good as we imagined that they were? Out of one game, or
we're going to find out.
Yeah, or is that just a fluke? Yeah, this is a great test for them. So I want to see how the defense plays all around, really, but especially that defensive line.
Yeah,
losing Frank Clark. We brought Charles and Minihue in, but he's still out for another 5 games due to his suspension. So that's big, and so I want to see how these guys are doing. How George is going to do. He's looked a little better already this year. That rookie, Felix, to see how he does. So, anyways, I want to watch that defense and that defensive line, see how they perform.
And that was the big thing to take away from the Lions game was the fact that they did get pressure without Chris Jones, and so they did get up there. So that was encouraging to see. So now with Chris Jones in there, who's going to get double teamed, those boys should eat. Those boys should have the heyday. Hopefully.
Yeah, they should for sure. Yeah, so in our last game, our defense created 1 sack another one of those I would have counted as a sack. They didn't count the George touchdown, not touchdown, but he touched the quarterback down after a fumble in the backfield. So
that's a sack.
They didn't officially count it as a sack since it was a fumble, but so I'm going to go ahead and say 2 sacks, even though the stats say 1. So 2 sacks and 4 tackles for loss and 4 quarterback hits. So not too bad. Not quite as dominant as the Jaguars were last week, but still not a bad stat at all.
No, not bad at all.
Yeah. So who is your matchup to watch in this game, specifically against the Jaguars? What
I wanted to see our corners. I know this is not the matchup, right? But I want to see our corners against Calvin Ridley.
Yes, that guy, man. He went off in that last game.
He did, and so I want to see how our corners step up to like a true number one. I'm not taking away from St. James.
Yeah,
I'm not taking anything away. He's a number 2, acting as a number 1. No, Calvin Ridley's a number 1, so I want to see what our corners do against a number 1 and how whatever. And I don't think our corners switch sides, or we don't have a corner that follows. So it's whoever lines up, and so we'll see how much they move Calvin Ridley. If he'll stay on one side of the field or if he'll be moving all over. But I'd like to see our corner. That's the matchup I'm watching. If we can we can keep him limited. I don't think you can shut him down. I think he's going to get his. It's like Tyreek Hill, trying to shut Tyreek Hill down. Like it's hard to do, but you just got to limit the big plays.
Yeah, and Calvin Ridley, last game, to your point, he was targeted 11 times.
Yeah.
So it's big. He had 8 catches for 101 yards, a touchdown, average almost 13 yards per catch. So
wow,
that's big. Yeah. So
that's the one thing I'm watching.
They gotta do something.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the matchup I'm watching is the Chiefs offensive line versus the Jaguars defensive line. That is the matchup to watch for me.
Right.
If they can if they can keep Mahomes clean, then keep him upright.
Yeah.
Man, that's going to be a huge advantage. And then also on the flip side, can our defense create pressure on Trevor Lawrence? So here's a stat for you from last year. So Trevor Lawrence, he gets the ball up fast, but if he gets it out under 2.5 seconds, which I think he was like top 5 in the amount of time from the snap to throwing the ball. And so under 2.5 seconds last year, he threw 17 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions on that.
Wow.
And completed 75% of his passes. So that's big.
Yeah.
However, if he took more than 2.5 seconds, he had 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and only completed 52% of his passes. So there's a big difference between those two things. And so if the Chiefs can create pressure and to your point, the corners can keep him from throwing the ball really quickly, that bodes well for the Chiefs.
That's a big stat, man. Send that to Spags.
I should see if you can find that.
Send that to Spags. Just go ahead and message him. That's a great stat. So our corners need to almost like press. We don't need to play soft.
Yeah. You don't want them to get the ball out quick.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I like it.
So got to get some pressure and keep him from throwing the ball fast. So yeah, that's the big thing coming. So now it comes down to our predictions for the game. So Jaguars, Chiefs at Jacksonville this coming Sunday. So who do you have and what's your score?
2 days and 52 minutes away, we'll see the Chiefs and Jaguars play. All right.
I like it.
It's a recording this podcast, so it may be sooner when you hear it. It no doubt will be. So Chiefs are favored 3.5, which is unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. I mean, we're at Jacksonville, so you're getting 2 points. So if it would have been a neutral field, or an Arrowhead, it'd be like 6.5 again. So I don't know what Vegas does.
Well, Vegas for the NFL, especially, almost every game is similar around 2.5 to 3.5. I mean, that's just the average, or whoever it is. It seems like.
But for the Chiefs to be road favorites is rare.
They're still the Super Bowl champions. All right, let's not knock them off their horse yet, Dale.
Well, I'm just saying, when's the last time they've covered? I don't know. We'll figure that out. Yeah,
we could probably look. It probably wouldn't be too hard to find. Probably the Super Bowl. They probably covered.
Oh yeah, they covered that.
Yeah, so not
had to be.
So
okay.
2 games
big
ago.
Big games. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only 2 games ago they covered.
So 3.5 point favorites, and then the total over under is 51 points. You think that's too high or too low?
Man,
51.
well,
The total, like the total scoring.
I think that's too low.
Yeah, I think so
Jacksonville scored
too.
31 last week. The Chiefs
Yeah.
only scored 20, but I'm not expecting that to stay the same.
No.
Both teams gave up 21 points to the other team, so
Yeah.
I don't expect it to be.
Yeah, and I think that's
under
like the
that.
key is that the Colts. Now, didn't they have like a pick six? I don't know. No, they had a fumble.
Yeah, the Colts picked up a fumble and returned it for a touchdown.
So they scored. But that was a rookie quarterback.
So
that did that.
So really, the Jacksonville defense gave up 14 points, similar to the Chiefs.
Yeah, right.
But
so
I'm just saying, as a team total, they gave up 21.
Yeah.
Both teams.
Did you ask me my score? Did you ask me what my score prediction was?
I did.
Okay.
I'm sitting
All
here.
right. And you're waiting.
I'm ready.
You're waiting.
I'm waiting.
You're waiting.
It.
It's going to be 38-31.
All right. So you do got high scoring. All right. I got Chiefs 31, and I'm going to give Jacksonville 24.
Oh,
so
I thought you were going the other way. Okay. All right.
No, 34-24. I think the Chiefs defense is for real. They're going to get more than 14 points than they did last week to the Lions. I think the Jaguars are a better team, but I still think the Chiefs defense is better than people are giving it credit for right now. So we'll see what happens, but I think 34-24 is a pretty good number there.
Hey, I like the number. I like the dub. You don't like 38-31, huh?
I like any score that the Chiefs win.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
I'm not.
I just think it's like one of those get right games for Mahomes. He's just going to scorch the earth.
Yeah, I think he's going to be on. He was, as you point out before, he was pretty mad at that post-game press conference. So
he was frustrated.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: don't give Mahomes and the Chiefs any more motivation, because they'll find it and they'll run with it. Yeah,
there you go. I
think it's actually good that they lost their first game, not because I like losing, but because because it gives them another motivation there. They're like, all right, well, Chiefs are done. The quote dynasty is over. And
how many times did we say that about Tom Brady and the Patriots? Too many. Too much.
I'm glad it's over, though. Glad it's over.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us in this episode of the Kingdom Corner. This episode is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads, where a portion of every purchase goes to support missions all over the world. One super soft tea at a time. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.